We're going to talk about kindness today, but we have to put it into perspective. You know, there are cultural norms. All of us come from some sort of ethnic background before we came modern, our parents, our grandparents, and they all retain some elements of our culture. And cultures have benefits to them. They tell us how, what to do, why, when, but they can also be incredibly restricting. So we all live in the modern world where we get a choice to really take what we want from our cultural backgrounds and discard the rest. Each family, your family, every other father-to-be who's listening to this, creates their own cultural norms. But this is what you need to understand about babies. We are all one humanity. So you could impregnate any woman. You may know that in your family. You may be interracial or interreligious or intercultural relationship. What we know is that any child can be brought up in any culture, any language, any religion. Children do not, and I'll repeat this, do not have an innate sense of any cultural norm. Everything is what you teach them. It's not innate, just like it's not innate for women to know how to birth. Just because they get pregnant and give birth, it doesn't mean you know how. So children will grow, but they don't know how to behave in the way that you'd like them to behave unless you teach them. So you were taught how to behave by your family, and your partner was taught how to behave by her family. You need to also understand something else about child development, which is that the age of reason is about 7 or 8 years old. So your job from newborn and through the phases that it takes for a baby to get to 7 or 8 years old is you're constantly teaching this child what you want them to learn. And remember, actions speak louder than words. So what you show them, because children are nonverbal, if you have children, you know this. They can understand you more than they can articulate. And it takes a long time for children to become verbal. And then they test. And why do they test? Because they could be brought up in any culture, in any religion, with any language. So they're testing. What are the boundaries of my culture, or my religion, or my language? So as adults, when we get past 8, but later than that, really, once we perceive of ourselves as an adult, we often identify ourselves by what we do. Not the job we have, but our mannerisms, our style, who people see us as, how we see ourselves. When we are identified by who we are, so for instance, you may be with a partner who gets angry easily or impatient easily, or you may be a person who's methodical or OCD or hyperactive. So you identify as that. But when a woman becomes pregnant, when you impregnate a woman, she just gets shifted out of that norm. She may want to hold on to it, but it's hard to hold on to it when you have this other being that's growing inside. And this other being is half you and half her. And it's doing its job to become a you or a her. If you're going to change, you have to do it by choice. And that's what we're really inviting you to do, is to really learn these skills, the 10 skills, and to start to exercise them, put them into action. And you have to put them into action towards yourself, towards your baby, and towards your partner. And even though you put them into action in phase 1 of pregnancy, phase 2 of pregnancy, they're going to morph a little bit. It's going to be the same subjective skill, but it has to be applied differently. It has to be applied in different actions. And in many ways, once you become a parent, and if you're already a parent, you know this, you actually then really take on your adult form. Now I'm a grandparent, but that's not the same as being a parent. Trust me, okay? All right, now the thing you need to understand is that these 10 skills do not make you more vulnerable. Now I had a friend who used to say to his wife, you know, you don't let yourself be vulnerable. And I actually thought, what does that word mean? So I looked it up in the dictionary, and it means a willingness to be wounded or being wounded. And I thought, ooh, bad word for a relationship. So you don't want to feel that you're opening yourself up to being wounded, or that your partner is in her vulnerability in early pregnancy because of the demands of early pregnancy and the rapid changes she experiences. You don't want her to feel that she could become wounded. So what causes us not to change? Well, it's simple, resistance. We identify ourselves by who we are, and then we don't want to change. But if you really, really want to be a superb dad and a grown-up human being and a mature man, then the fact is that you need to change throughout your life. It doesn't have to be all the time, but you will go through phases, and those phases in your life are going to require you to change. And pregnancy is one of them.